Hello everyone, welcome to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and of course NoDQ's YouTube channel at youtube.com/NoDQCAW or wherever you're watching this show that's picked it up. Thank you all for watching. First few questions today come from our old pal Greg Cherry on Facebook. He's a longtime supporter of NoDQ.com back in the LXMV days up to now, so we appreciate any time he sends in contributions. Greg's first question is, what is your favorite February pay-per-view match? There's been some good ones over the years, but I think my favorite has to be Steve Austin versus Mr. McMahon in the cage from the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It wasn't the most technically sound match by any means, let's be honest, but it was a fun match to watch. It was really something that you never thought you would see in 1996 when Vince was still the announcer and Steve Austin was still the ringmaster. You know, you never think you would see a Vince, even as the announcer, have interaction to that degree with a talent. And to see the owner of the company take that bump he did off the cage and still continue the match with a broken coccyx bone, my goodness. Unbelievable. He literally fractured his ass bone, people, and he still continued the match. That's pretty crazy. That's my favorite. Definitely my favorite, Greg. Thank you. Do you think WWE's lack of star power has really hurt them with all the injuries, and how would you fix it? I think I've ranted about WWE's shenanigans and shortcomings the last couple weeks. With Aaron on the show and then on the Talk Wrestling rant that I did. But lack of star power is due to injuries is definitely hurting. You've got Seth Rollins out, you've got John Cena out, you got Randy Orton out, you've got, all these guys are, they're playing hurt is what they're doing. And, it's the only sport, if you want to call it a sport, where the guys play hurt all freaking time, and they just keep going and going and going until they get injured. It's between hurt and injured. That's Sports Talk 101. Hurt and injured are two different things. A lot of the WWE superstars are playing hurt. John Cena is injured. Randy Orton is injured. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd are injured. Nikki Bella is injured. I don't know what can be done, Greg, honestly. You call people from NXT, then that depletes NXT's roster. And you gotta, granted, NXT's all about making new stars anyway, but how many new stars can you make in a short amount of time when you've got the main roster hurting for certain? What they need to do is take the talent they have healthy, which is few and far between right now, to be honest with you, and really showcase them at WrestleMania. And really make them all stand out in their own way. And that'll bring people back in. What is your pick for favorite hardcore match in WWE history? Wow. I know why Greg asked this question, because I got called on it a few years ago, because my answer at the time on a Facebook post was Mick Foley versus Edge from WrestleMania 22. But in fairness to that answer at the time, which I pointed out at the time, I had yet to see Randy Orton versus Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, from 2004's Backlash. That is my favorite mainstream hardcore match. There is one that's higher on the list for personal reasons. And not for anything nice. Let me reassure you of that now. It's not a nice memory, but it is an interesting memory. Aaron, I need your voice for a second. XPW, my birthday. The hardcore match between Ian Rotten and Supreme with the barbed wire rope. Were you with me in control room, or were you in the crowd?
No.
You weren't there at all?
No.
It was just Mike and I?
Yep.
Oh. Sorry, Mike. XPW. I think Mike was in the crowd. I don't remember where Mike was. But I was in the control room at what used to be the Isoplex in Van Nuys, watching Supreme and Ian Rotten have a no rope, barbed wire rope death match. And the amount of blood loss in that match caused myself and Tammy Sitch to literally dry heave. Now, granted, that's ugly memory. But I was in the same room watching a death match, a hardcore match, with Sonny. You can't be that with a stick, people. You just can't. Should the WWE push more than one storyline per pay-per-view? It seems like they only focus on the main event. Yes! A man after my own heart. Yes, Gregory. Yes. They always seem to focus solely on one thing. Fastlane was a little bit different. They actually had a few irons in the fire. They had the Charlotte Brie Bella scenario. They had the other Divas match, the tag team match, Sasha and Becky against Team Bad. They had the main event triple threat match. They had a few, Jericho and AJ, they had a few things really cooking. And it seems to be that they're starting to do that trend more and more. But for a long time, it was only main event and everything else was useless, which is horse shit. Complete horse shit. Yes, they should. All right. This is from Ty Marshall on Twitter. Who do you think is the most underrated wrestler in WWE? Underrated. Doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. It's going to surprise a lot of people, but The Big Show. People are screaming at him to retire, and some are being funny, and some are being cute, some are just being nasty about it, and I think that's complete shit. I watched the podcast with him and Steve Austin and heard him address that chant. What people seem to forget is that he's been in the company now for almost 20 years. 17 years in WWE this year, this month. His role at this point is not to win championships or be the top star. He is there to help the newer talent, the younger talent, the new marquee talent along and get them over, one way or the other. Does he turn too much to the babyface? Yes. Is that his fault? No. Creative writes that shit. It is what it is. But I think he is grossly underappreciated for how good he still really is. Brian Matthew Duff. What's the best Iron Man match to you and the worst Iron Man match you've ever seen? The best Iron Man match I ever saw was not on television. People are going to go, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, you moron. You had to be at a house show in Inglewood at the Forum in 1994 to see the original WWE Iron Man match, which was called a marathon match back then, between Bret Hart and Owen Hart. Those two brothers went for an hour straight across an entire summer tour, night after night, and wrestled for an hour. And they tore the house down at the end of the night, every single night. And the match I saw was no exception. The worst Iron Man match I ever saw... probably, honestly, Triple H and Rock. And that's going to make me feel bad to say that because I like both those guys. But I wasn't a fan of that match. And the finish was god-awful. God-awful. If you don't remember, WWE Network, Judgment Day 2000. That's all I'm going to say. It's the last hour of the show. There you go. This is from Matt Big 123 on Twitter. How good can Bayley get at being WWE, would you say? I think the stars are aligned for Bayley. I think she is destined to be the best of the NXT 4. And people are going, well, the other three have been called up already. Bayley was hurt. She couldn't get called up. And somebody had to carry the women's division while the other three left. And Bayley's done an awesome job carrying the company, women-wise. She's faced everybody and beat them all. She probably has Asuka coming up in Dallas. And that's going to be an awesome match. I look forward to seeing it on the network. Wish I could see it live. Bayley was good a long time ago. I saw her wrestle for NWA Hollywood against Lucky O'Shea, and she was good then, and that was 5 years ago. She's only gotten better, and she'll only get better as we go forward. Silent Rage 74. Would you like to see main roster talent appear more in NXT like CM Punk did when he was champion back in 2012? No. No. Absolutely not. The only time I want main roster or legends or whatever you want to call it, talent, to appear in NXT is if they are in the crowd watching, like the Click did. Like Lita did. I want the legends, I want the current main roster talent to come to Full Sail, to come to wherever they're taping the special, or taping NXT that given week, and show the kids at NXT that they're doing the right things, and that the main roster and the legends, the old-timers, respect them for what they're doing. I don't want them wrestling or appearing in a big-time capacity for NXT. It's not NXT. The NXT is for the stars of tomorrow. That's what it should be. EX3Zam on Twitter. What was the most botched push ever besides Roman Reigns and Randy Orton? Okay, let me back up a little bit here. Roman Reigns' push was derailed because the fickle fans turned him into Cena Part 2 and hated on him for the sake of hating on him, which is stupid, and it's horse shit, and I think it's wrong that they do that. Randy Orton earned his way back from exile, earned his way back from AWOL and in the Marines, earned his way back from crapping in people's bags, and earned every single push he got. His push wasn't botched. He's a megastar. And he's fucking good. The most botched push ever, in my opinion, and this is my show, so it is my opinion, probably gotta be Lex Luger. Here was a guy with all sizzle and no substance. And the minute he was pushed away from the Horsemen and made to stand on his own, he faltered. I wasn't watching back then. I know you were. Luger was bad from the get. He did not stand on his own ever. He was always having to have somebody back his ass up. And when he stand on his own, he sucked. It took 10 years for him to get world title recognition on his own. He was champion for 5 days. Because the NWO was ruling the roost then. And he had no chance. Never been a fan of Lex. He's a nice guy. I met him at Frankenson's. But he's never been good. Thank you all for watching. We will see you guys next time.